Excellent. Okay, third group is recreation, regulation, and the environment, or some permutation thereof.
Okay, so the first comment from our group is we thought that was an interesting mix of things that you threw into one group. Because maybe you might want to talk about recreation in the environment, or recreation and regulations, or regulations in the environment, but throwing them all three together seemed to us to be an interesting mix, in that we would need more than 20 minutes and maybe like hours to get through all of that. But in the end, the discussion, it was a very good discussion, as you can imagine. It had very diverse opinions with respect to that. But what came out of the discussion is really a distinction between Bryan's Road and Indian Head, and that they are two very different entities, but they are entities that should be developed with a vision and land use plan that should complement each other and not compete with each other. That they should also fit into a larger land use plan that complements the rest of the county and does not compete with the rest of the county, such as the goals for Waldorf, or potentially the goals even we could say for Hughesville. And with respect to Indian Head, the issue of a vision was particularly important to the group. And that is that while we need to make sure that the infrastructure is in place, what the group thought is that Indian Head really needed to have a vision, and then needed to go forward with a plan to implement that vision, working with the county. And one of the interesting points that was brought up, for example, was we heard that Indian Head needs a grocery store, that the citizens there would like that, although there's a grocery store on Bryan's Road. But it also called out another comment that was made during this roundtable about the fact that the base has a ready-made population. And the point was made that a lot of the amenities that ready-made customer base, they can actually get those on the base, as opposed to get those in Indian Head. And so it was thought that perhaps the vision for Indian Head, which would be distinct from the vision for Bryan's Road, would be one that it would be a destination place, a place that you would go to enjoy the natural, and Steve, correct me if I get off track on this, that you would go to enjoy the natural resources of the Mattawoman, and the kayaking, the arts center, versus what you would want to do in Bryan's Road, which would be try to increase your commercial base there and increase the scorecard in the county by raising that 30% up and creating a strong commercial base at that location. But again, that requires a review of the plans to ensure that those visions occur. Having said that, did I get that right, Steve? Okay. So complementary development with Indian Head as a destination and Bryan's Road more as a commercial. But then of course that leads to the environment, which I would have to say is somewhat of the issue in the room, because the environment is an asset, an opportunity, and a concern. Because it is an asset, everybody here spoke about how beautiful this part of the county is, how we need to preserve our natural resources, so it is an asset. It creates an opportunity from us on a business level to develop in an economically and environmentally sustainable way. It also creates an opportunity to draw people to this area to appreciate that asset. It is a concern though, because whenever you have business or development, you have to deal with the environmental constraints of the Mattawoman and ensure that you are addressing those, and that will create regulatory hurdles for businesses wishing to develop here. So for example, the airport, and we talked about the fact that the airport would assist in raising that commercial base and drawing businesses to the airport that enhance it, but that also appreciate, see, I'm coming down to my one. I told you gave me too much to talk about. That also appreciate the open spaces. And then, did I cover everything? Okay. So then with respect to regulation, there were concerns with regulations. The concerns were if you're a business looking to locate in this part of the county, and I think this is actually countywide, concerns were raised about the length of time it takes for a business to be able to site itself and locate, not just in the western Charles County, but anywhere in the county. Second concern was raised is the process. The process isn't always clear, and sometimes the process is inconsistent. So the process needs to have consistency and clarity.